Okay guys, I saw this video called Rarity is not the problem in Path of Exile 2. This video will change your mind. And it says in the thumbnail, item rarity truth bomb. And of course, I see a video like this and I have to watch it because you guys know that I hate Rarity with a passion. But hey, our brother in here is going to change our minds. He's going to change our minds. So hey, I am open to other interpretations or opinions, but a priori I tell you I hate Rarity. But let's see what our brother has to say in here.
This video will get a lot of hate, but I don't care. This is something that I have to do because I refuse to let the narrative about this be driven by ignorant and clueless people. Rarity is...
He came out guns blazing. I hope he's not getting hate for the video. I think like the video looked interesting to me, so let's see what he has to say. I hope he's not getting... Hate is not necessary ever, dude. But he came out guns blazing. I won't allow the ignorant narrative to keep going, dude.
Not the problem. In fact, it is not a problem at all, but a very beneficial and...
Okay, he says that Rarity is not a problem because, to be honest with you, you guys know that I hate Rarity and I consider Rarity a problem, not the problem. The problem is like the only thing that is a problem in the game. There are many problems in the game, although you guys know that I love the game. We can identify many things that should be improved. Let's not use the word fixed, but improve, right? In my opinion, Rarity is one of them. But I think he's going to give arguments of how Rarity is fine. So let's look at it. Let's look at it.
Integral part of the game. Moreover, if you think that Rarity on gear is problematic, you are clueless. More than clueless, you don't understand the basics of Path of Exile loot.
Okay, now he's referring here to me, right? Because he's not to me personally, but I mean, he's saying that if you think in general, anyone, if you think that Rarity is bad, you are clueless, and I don't understand the game. Okay, so now I am in the clueless spot. Okay, let's fucking go, man.
Systems, you don't understand the economy, and you are simply ignorant of a few very simple facts. Most people complaining about the Rarity are simple.
I have to agree with that. I am ignorant in a lot of facts, but let's see if this is one of those cases.
Simply parroting this complaint with zero critical thought and have never examined the validity of any of the claims purported about it. Okay, I went around various POE2 communities and collected all arguments against Rarity that I could find, and in this video I'm going to present them and then dismantle them, showing you why Rarity is not a problematic system in POE2, but in fact what keeps the game more balanced. First,
okay, so he not only thinks Rarity is not a problem, he thinks that it is good for the game. Okay, I am ready for these arguments, papi. I am ready because, guys, my hatred for Rarity runs deep. So I have thought about Rarity a lot. But again, I am one of the type of people that even if I hate something a lot, if I am presented with good enough data and arguments, I will change my mind because I will not keep pushing for something that I know inside to not be true, right? So hey, he can convince me. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Dude, over 60% of you are not subscribed. Why are you like this? Just click the sub button, dude. It is quick, it is easy, it is free. You get content, I get a sub, win-win situation. Just click the sub button, my dude.
Let's look at the 5 most common arguments against Rarity. It's the best way to make currency, therefore it is mandatory or it feels mandatory.
Okay, let's pause it in here. This is the most common thing he hears about Rarity. I have never heard this first part of the sentence. I have heard and I have said the second part of the sentence. It's the best way to make currency. I have never heard this because people refer to the best way to make currency normally to farming methods. And you have Rarity while doing the farming methods. Meaning, for example, right now, best way to make currency, have a great fucking temple. That is the best way to make currency. Now, on top of that, you have Rarity to increase the drops that you have on inside of the temple. Or, and I can see he's doing it because I am looking at his gear right here, do negative Rarity to get bases, but at the end of the day, negative Rarity is the same shit as Rarity, just farming for a different concept of items. So you are still manipulating Rarity to farm. right? But again, nobody says Rarity is the best way. People refer to, you are going to farm Bridge, you are going to farm the Abyss, you are going to farm the Temple, and you are going to have Rarity while doing it, because you are going to get more drops than without it. And if you argue, I don't know if it is going to make that argument, but let's say that he is going to do it. If he argues for negative Rarity, it's the same concept. You are putting Rarity in your gear just with a negative thing to try to manipulate the drops that you are getting, right? Which is the whole concept that I dislike. Putting affixes in my gear that affect my drops. That is the whole concept that I dislike. And then he says in here, therefore, it feels mandatory. It feels mandatory. It does feel mandatory for a lot of people. You don't need it. I play without it, and I destroy the game, and I farm my characters. I do everything that I want. I play 0 Rarity. You can still do it, but it is better if you do it. You know, it is better if you do or full normal Rarity or negative Rarity. You do much better than with 0 Rarity, which what I do, and this is undeniable. But let's continue.
It is imbalanced because it forces you to play only strong meta builds that can take the advantage of it.
It's imbalanced because it forces you to play only strong meta builds that can take advantage of it. I have said this, not exactly the same words, because there are words that are like, I don't use the word forces you, I use the word incentivizes you, which is absolutely true. It incentivizes you to play builds that can take advantage of it. That is absolutely true. Because if you get better drops while using Rarity, the next step is getting a build that can slot Rarity. And that is undeniable at this point. But again, he's just enumerating the arguments in here. He's going to tell us why these arguments are wrong in the future. You have to focus on a random stat rather than character power. Oof. I have said this one. I dislike exactly that about Rarity, that it is a boring stat. It is a boring stat. In my opinion, that is the worst offense Rarity makes, that it is boring.
To focus on a random stat rather than character power.
Okay, the fourth argument. When you think about your gear, you should think about your character strength and not about the economy. Okay, I have not said this one, maybe incidentally with that it is a boring stat, but Path of Exile is an economy game, so you are always thinking about economy when you are thinking about your gear, because you are thinking how much you are putting into your gear, how much strong your character is going to be with this gear that you are investing in to farm what and then get more money to buy better gear. You are always thinking on terms of currency if you are playing the market, right? If you're playing softcore trade, if you're playing solo self-found, you don't give a flying fuck. But if you're playing trade, you are always thinking about the economy. You exist in the economy and you never don't think about the economy. So in the fourth one, I am going to give you that, yes, it is true that you are always thinking about your economy and not only on strength, but Rarity doesn't matter at that point. Why does Rarity matter to this? You can have this and still not have Rarity, because again, your gear has a price. You can resell it at a price. You can still flip. You can still craft. You know, like, okay, I invest 5 divines in this item, and this item will allow me to farm this tier of maps or this Uber boss or whatever, and with this I will make more money, and then I can buy this other piece of gear that is still existing inside of an economy without thinking about Rarity. Meaning, this doesn't matter for Rarity. You don't need Rarity for this to be true. This will keep being true without Rarity.
Your gear, you should think about your character strength and not about the economy, and Rarity should not affect currency.
It shouldn't affect currency. So I am really curious about what he's going to say about the fifth one, because Rarity should not affect currency at all.
Let's start with the first argument. It's the best way to make currency, therefore it is, or it feels.
Again, this is 2 arguments, right? One argument is the best way to make currency, that I already think this is not the way it was stated. And the second argument is, therefore it feels mandatory. That is the part that I agree with.
mandatory. People feel like they have to stack increased item rarity or they cannot make enough currency to compete with players that do it. Let's break this argument into two parts, the currency part and the mandatory part. If your concern was just the currency, then I have news for you. Stacking increased item rarity and farming the temple or abyss or any other content in the game is not the best way to make currency. It is actually not even close to the best way of making currency. The best way of making currency is trading and crafting. So you should...
Yes, I agree. The best way of making currency is trading and crafting. That doesn't mean Rarity is not a dog shit star. Again, that is why that first part of the argument I didn't agree with it, because there are many... Having Rarity is not a farming method. That is where the fallacy is coming in here. Because having Rarity is not a farming method. If you have Rarity in all your gear and you are standing in your hideout doing nothing, that is not a farming method. You have to do a farming method, right? Trading is a farming method. Crafting is a farming method. Doing the temple is a farming method, right? You could argue that for the best farming method, which is flipping, trading, or whatever, Rarity does nothing. Okay, I can give you that. But for gameplay purposes, Rarity does something. But again, I didn't argue that Rarity was the best way to farm or something.
Be instead saying that you want trading and crafting removed from the game because it makes so much currency that it is mandatory that everyone has to be profit crafting to compete. Of course, that would be a ridiculous thing to demand in a game literally based around item economy, but the rarity argument here is equally ridiculous. I'm going to dive deeper into this argument because it's probably going to be the longest part of this video, but I feel like a lot of people really have no...
Also, those levels of crafting normally where you make that, where crafting truly becomes better than farming, are levels of crafting that normal players don't reach those levels. Let's be honest in here. And you are better off just stacking Rarity and farming the temple or farming the abyss or farming something if you are a normal regular player.
Idea about how the game works, and I guess the best way to remedy that is to educate them. So let me educate you. This graph
he's
shows
going to educate us, boys. He's going to educate. I want to learn. I love learning, Papi. I love learning. Let's see. He's bringing up the graphs. I love graphs. I am loving this video, Papi.
Yes, the best way to remedy that is to educate them. So let me educate you. This graph shows roughly what happens to your loot when you get more or less rarity. The less rarity you have, the more white bases you will drop, and the more rarity you have, the more currency and uniques you will drop. The total amount of loot always stays the same because rarity doesn't affect how many items you drop. It is simply affecting what happens to these items in terms of their rarity and their tiers. This graph is not a mathematically correct rarity formula because that
he's forgetting something very important in here, and I am going to bring up Paint to explain it, right? He's equating that because you get the same amount of items in total, Rarity doesn't matter. But you are forgetting that in Path of Exile, conversions exist. So you said it yourself that when you have more Rarity, so towards this area over here, you get more currency. He said it, right? So right there, you are already saying what we are saying, right? But you say that it doesn't matter because if you don't have enough Rarity, then you get bases, and that is the same. It is not the same, Papi. It is not the same, and I will explain why. First of all, a lot of bases are useless. A lot of bases suck dick. There are the bases that are worth it, that are worth something, are a few bases. You can be lucky and get exceptional bases, but this is, you are not going to bank on getting lucky. You are going to bank on getting the normal white bases that are good ones, and then you slam it with a transmutation and an augment, something like that. And if you get good modifiers, then this is worth something. Requires extra layers of game knowledge too. Not the same as, if you guys know how Rarity works for currency, it works like this. If you are going to get a transmutation orb, Rarity then can upgrade it to an exalted. If you are going to get an exalted, then Rarity can, in a roll, upgrade it to a chaos and a chance orb, something like that. Then this can be upgraded to a divine. I don't exactly know the hierarchy, but you get like a ladder, right? So at one point, if Rarity can make you jump from a fucking orb of chance to a divine orb, this is the same as getting more items. Even if you say, no, you are getting the same amount of drops, since divines are worth it more, you are still getting more stuff. It is effectively more quantity. Even if because in total amount, it is not more. It is effectively more, because a fucking divine is 350 exalteds. It is effectively getting more stuff. That is why Path of Exile 1 players that come from Path of Exile 1, they refer to the way Rarity works in POE2 as it is having quantity. Because in practice, effectively, it translates into quantity, even if it is not true quantity. Because when a fucking Chaos Orb gets upgraded to a Divine Orb, you are effectively getting more currency. Because you go to the currency exchange, and you get, instead of 1 chaos, you get 100 chaos. So it is not about the amount of drops. It's about how much the drops are worth it. Nobody is discussing the amount of drops. We are discussing the worth, the value of those drops. And having rarity or negative rarity is better. Because if I tell you, okay, he's telling, no, the amount of items remains the same. Okay, if I tell you, if you have 0 rarity, you are going to get 100 exalted. But with 150 rarity, you are going to get the same 100 number, but you are going to get 100 divines instead of 100 exalted. Which one do you prefer? You are still getting 100. Obviously, you prefer the 100 divines. It is obviously better. Like, I don't care if it is the same amount of things, of drops or whatever. The value is what matters, baby.
Formula is not known, but it should give you the right idea. I've been playing with high rarity, with 0 rarity, and with negative rarity, and in all cases I was able to make really good currency, earning mirrors and thousands of divines. I've experienced
not an argument. I play with 0 rarity and I earn currency and I farm and I destroy the game. I don't care. Rarity sucks. Just because you can circumvent a bad system doesn't mean the system is not bad. And I know I use this example, that it is a fucked up example, but it is the best way I have to illustrate to people how a dog shit system is still dog shit even if you circumvent it. Everybody knows that slavery was bad, right? Slavery sucked. Did you know that a slave, although dog shit, a lot of them did have a wage, dog shit wage, useless wage, but they had it. Or they have alternative ways of earning money. And you could buy yourself, meaning buy your freedom. You could pay your price as a slave to your master so that he gives you freedom. Some slaves did this. After many years of saving, of doing extra work, of circumventing the system, they were able to buy their own freedom. They pay their freedom and they go out. Imagine one of these slaves that bought their own freedom goes to one that is still a slave and tells to them, haha, skill issue, bitch, you suck, you don't know what you are doing. The system is not bad because I could circumvent it. I could be free. You just suck, you don't know what you are doing. You are clueless. No! Slavery is still dog shit. Just because this one guy could circumvent it doesn't mean it is fine, brother. What are you talking about? And this doesn't apply just to rarity, by the way. Every time someone tells you that, no, it is dog shit, but you can do this. Well, yeah, but it is still dog shit. I don't care if you can circumvent the bad system. It is still bad. It still sucks dick. And that is what is happening in here. I know that I can play without rarity. I do it all the time. The system still sucks, papi.
Experienced every single part of this curve, and they are all viable for farming currency. You just have to learn more about the loot that you can get in this game and how much.
You just have to learn how to earn money to buy your freedom. That is all you have to do, papi. Earn money to buy your freedom. Like, because you can circumvent the system doesn't mean it is fine. Rarity as a stat is boring and it sucks. It takes away freedom on your itemization. It takes a slot on a stat that, and that is the thing that he's not going to say in here because he showed it in his arguments. But to me, it is the most important thing. It is a boring stat. It is boring. Like, I have to put this shit on my gear, and it is boring. Well, as we are discussing, you don't have to, but it feels better if you do. You don't have to, but it feels better if you do. And it is boring. I don't want to, oh, I find magic things. I don't want to do that. I want cool things that are cool.
Much it's worth. Let's do a quick exercise. Take a look at this stash tab. All of these items are normal white bases of item level 82. How much do you think this entire tab is worth? Take a quick guess.
There is probably a lot of money in there because you have a 3-socket bitch in here. These are exceptional items. Specific base items like the dueling one. The dueling one is a good base item. Like, yes, you are trying to say to us that bases are cool, that bases are important. Okay, first of all, you are still manipulating Rarity to get these bases with the negative Rarity stuff. You can still get them at 0 Rarity because I run 0 Rarity and you get some of them sometimes. But again, don't fall for this thinking, guys, that if you run 0 Rarity or negative Rarity, these are going to drop like candy. These items are really rare, and that is why they are expensive, because they are rare. Exceptional items with good quality or with good sockets, and at level 82 plus, because you have to go out of your way to farm in places where the level is 82 plus, are not common. These are rare items. They are not going to drop like candy if you are running 0 or less Rarity. So I don't know why we are implying that you are going to get them like candy.
Time. What do you think? What is your best estimation for the value of this loot here? Did you say more than 1,000 divines? Because if your answer was anything less than hundreds of divines, then respectfully, you are clueless and you shouldn't be making armchair game designer suggestions because you don't understand the game. Let me quickly price check some of the.
Hey brother, he's throwing grenades at people. I knew there was a lot of money in there. I didn't speculate a number, but I knew there was money in there because you see that there are exceptional bases in there for good base items. But brother is just throwing the fucking grenades. He doesn't give a fuck, dude.
These items for you. Obliterator bow. This is about 100 exalts, item level 82. We have exceptional boots, 1920.
Boots are expensive when they are 82 plus because only boots 82 plus can get the 35 movement speed. The 35 movement speed cannot roll on boots unless they are 82. So be attentive if you get a boot that is 82 plus, guys, by the way. And they have 2 sockets. On top of that, they have 2 sockets.
We have exceptional omen.
But again, those are exceptional boots level 82. Obviously, they are going to be expensive, but they are rare. They are not going to drop like candy for you, papi.
That is 180 divines. We have Sekema boots they should be around 3-4 divines even. We have Imperial Great Helm. This should be nothing now. This is like 3 to 10 exalts.
Yes, because people don't use that base. So as you can see, you need the extra layer of concept of knowledge. You have to know what bases people are using. So the Imperial Great Helm, people are not using that base. So that one is not as expensive. But these boots, people are using them because the base is good. So that has an extra price. So you are seeing what is easier for the common player. Going through all this knowledge, price checking, knowing what is good, or you're saying, you know what, I am going to get 100 Rarity, I get divine things, and I don't have to worry about anything. You have to also take that into consideration, brother.
Something like, for example, exceptional sea glass spear, that is 200x. The Salian Graves, now they should be cheap. Earlier in the league, they're more expensive. They're about like 20. We have something like exceptional sleek jacket. Oh, would you look at that?
Obviously, that is going to be expensive. Level 82 with 3 sockets. But again, that is not common, brother. That is not going to drop like you. Oh, yes, I am dropping them like crazy. Not like that. Doesn't work like that.
400 divines. Then we have serpent scale gloves. These should be something like 40-50 exalts. We have exceptional dueling wand, which is 200 divines almost. We have a level 20 sigil of power skill, which this will not show, but if you search on the trade website, you will see that this is worth a few divines as well. So lots of these items are very, very expensive. As you can see, white items can be worth a lot. You get the regular top tier bases, which you can farm very regularly and sell hundreds and hundreds of them for good profit. You get the level 20 skill bases that are worth multiple divines, and sometimes you can find the exceptionals that are worth hundreds of divines for the top bases of the popular meta items. And even things like charms dropping as white instead of magic is beneficial, and you make more currency from that because you can easily craft them with perfect transmutations and augmentations and sell them for multiple divines. And here is a screenshot of some charms that I sold this league in case you need.
I already knew this, bro. You guys remember my boy Prada, 787 Prada? He has an awesome video where he explains his negative farming, negative rarity farming method. Awesome video if you guys are interested in negative rarity farming. Awesome video. This is information we know doesn't change a little bit, in my opinion, the discourse around rarity. First of all, you are still manipulating rarity. Negative rarity is still rarity. And second of all, you are still doing, these items are not common items that you are going to start getting just because you are running negative rarity. These are, negative rarity affects the tier of the item. Like, you are going to drop more white items, but it doesn't guarantee that you are going to get an exceptional item, right? So I don't know if showing exceptional items is the best demonstration of this. Also, you need the knowledge. You need the knowledge that these items are good items in the first place. You could argue that that is how it is supposed to be, that you need knowledge to gain money. And I agree with that. I agree with that. But exactly, a new player that doesn't have the knowledge, he can say, I prefer to just go with the divines and I get the money and I don't have to think about any of this.
A hard proof and don't want to just believe me. I've sold multiple mirrors worth of white items this league. I can show you screenshots of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of divines. You can pause and read the item names if you're curious which bases are most valuable, but I've done this a lot. I've gotten rich selling this many exceptional bases because I have personally played with a reduced item rarity. But remember, it's a trade.
So you are arguing for going with negative rarity, which is just rarity. What are we discussing in here, man?
I get absolutely no currency. Most of my currency drops get turned into wisdom scrolls, so I very rarely see divine drops. In fact, it is so rare for me to see a divine that when I picked up a divine, by the time I picked up the next one, I already made a mirror selling white bases. I don't get exalts, chaos, annuls, nothing, literally no currency, and I still manage to make mirrors without crafting or flipping at all, just selling my loot. If you are in the middle of that curve with zero rarity, you will find some currency and some uniques and some white bases. The total sum of the valuable loot that you get is similar at all points of the rarity curve. Oh,
but as I already explained, it is not the same getting 100 exaltes as getting 100 divines. Yes, you are getting 100 items, but it is not the same value, papi. It is not the same value, brother.
But white bases don't think on my filter. Okay, then make them think. You have free will. If you're playing with zero rarity on your gear and farm the highest level content, then you will sometimes see things like the Sekema sandals, which are worth around 3 divines. Is that not good enough for a think? I get like 20 to 30 of them every single temple I run, which is about 60 to 90 divines just from this one singular base type. Instead of complaining about the game on Reddit, you should be posting their questions about which valuable bases you should put on your loot filter, or learning about the game, looking at POE Wiki, looking at POE Ninja, and seeing which bases
still
are
using rarity, just negative rarity, but it is rarity.
Popular in the current meta, because that always changes.
And if you don't use I use 0%, you don't need it, but it is better to have it, papi. If you use wrong 0 rarity, you don't get as many bases or as many things. Like 0% is playable, it is what I do, but it is not optimal at all.
And if you don't know how to find this information for yourself, you're always going to be behind, not because of rarity, but because of your own lack of knowledge about the game. Now let's quickly tackle another argument against rarity. It is imbalanced because it forces you to play only strong meta builds that can take advantage of it. This is
it is not that it forces you, it incentivizes you. It incentivizes you to play a build that can slot rarity. Let's see what his argument is against this one.
Completely false. It's not only false, it's actually the literal opposite of the truth. First of all, let me show you an immediate example.
Also, what you are saying in there is true, Fireheart. If everybody goes negative rarity and nobody's farming currencies, then who is crafting on the items? Because to craft on those bases, you need the currency that you drop using rarity. Who is crafting on those bases if everybody's running negative rarity? We need the entire ecosystem. Wouldn't it just be better if you didn't need negative rarity or positive rarity and just as a baseline, people get all the pieces for the ecosystem? Or you go into specialized farms, like in some places bases drop more and in some places currency drop more, and then everybody specializes and then you have the ecosystem. Why do we have to have it as a stat affix on gear? That is the problem that I have. Put it on the map, put it on the waystone, put it on the activity, put it on something else. Don't put it as an affix in my gear. I want my affixes in my gear to be cool, fun things. Rarity is not fun.
The literal opposite of the truth. First of all, let me show you an immediate example from the top of my head. Mr. 9 Lives, a fellow streamer who is stacking rarity, in this case reduced rarity, while playing a ritualist, which means that his character has no rings and no belt while playing a ritualist. So he also basically...
Okay, so you are to prove that you don't need rarity, you are putting a character that is stacking negative rarity and have a corrupted vertex. I guarantee you this helmet is a lot of fucking money, and he's using this chest that I guarantee you this chest is probably a lot of fucking money. The gear this guy is using in here is probably really fucking expensive, man. A normal player is not going to do this. So he's overcoming not playing the best build by having crazy gear. Of course, at this level of gear, you can play crossbow shot, papi.
So he also basically has no ascendancy. Is he playing an OP meta build to deal with that? Nope. He's playing a fucking Chaos Solar Orb build. What on earth is that? You've never even heard of such a build, and this guy is so rich that...
Not true. Frostbone, Solar Orb builds are good builds in Season 1. Second of all, his gear is insane. Look at this stuff. It has 3 slots. His gear is insane, papi. Like this, the budget in this build is out of this world. And that is why he can have the negative rarity that he has. What's even the point of talking about rarity if even GGG themselves say they are thinking to replace it with something else? They just don't know what to do yet. True, GGG knows that rarity is a problem, and that is why they say they are going to replace it. That I don't think it even needs replacement. One of the solutions, but he's going to talk about that later, is to just not apply it to currency and you let it be how it is. But apparently they don't agree with that and they are just going to completely remove it, which I will be happy with that. I am okay with that too.
His stack of mirrors is taller than some of you IRL. Magic finding being relegated into only the strongest meta builds is a complete myth. There is no truth in it, no matter how many times.
It is not a myth. In several of the seasons, this season, thank God we have had more build diversity. This is probably the best season so far in terms of build diversity. But in previous seasons, almost always the best builds can slot rarity without a care in the world because they have all the stats that they need in a few affixes and they can slot rarity. And you always see the blasters playing lightning spear with rarity, playing lightning arrow with rarity. In season 1, playing a spark with rarity. They were even using the fucking shield that they reward the shield with a bunch of soul cores that gave you like 5,000 rarity because the shield the wild shield that augments by 500% the socketed items. That was insane. So yes, definitely, historically, maybe not so much this season, but historically, builds that can slot Rarity normally are better builds, because imagine this logically, brother. I have a build that can clear 100% of the game, but to be able to do so, I need 100% of my affixes. So in my Rarity, I have 0 Rarity and I get 100 exalted. But there is another build that does exactly the same 100% of the game, but you only need 70% of the stats. And now the remaining 30%, you can put it in 150% Rarity, and you get, instead of 100 exalted, now you get 100 divines. What build is better? If I give you, choose the build, you can choose this build or you can choose this build. What build are you choosing? Like, what are we discussing here, man? It is just a logical conclusion.
People keep repeating it, it is simply not true. You can stack Rarity on so many different builds, and sometimes
you can stack Rarity on many builds, but there are builds that are much stronger while having Rarity, and there are builds that sacrifice power to put Rarity on them. Trust me, my builds are dog shit, and I have tried to make my dog shit builds slot Rarity, and I lose a bunch of power, and I can't.
Stacking it on weaker build is actually easier than stacking it on a stronger meta build. For example, attribute stacking and other stacking archetypes are very often powerful because they can leverage their gear prefixes and suffixes for damage. They have more vectors of scaling than the weaker builds, but they need these affixes for scaling, which means it is harder for those builds to have quote-unquote dead stats.
It depends on the build. It totally depends on the build. I was using a strength stacker build in 0.3, and I needed the stats. I couldn't put Rarity in them, and my strength stacking dude was not the best build. Exactly. It was not the best. I needed all my affixes. I couldn't put Rarity. What was the best build? Lightning Arrow. That it could. One of the best build, because someone is going to say, no, that was not the best. The best was actually a Blood Mage using whatever the fuck. Okay, man. The widest spread use build was Lightning Arrow that could slot Rarity.
The weaker builds, on the other hand, simply do not scale with as many stats and attributes, so they have spare affixes that without Rarity couldn't be even utilized. But with Rarity, these...
Brother, maybe I am an idiot, but I interpret the game the whole other way around. Better builds, stronger builds, derive more power from fewer affixes and open up more affixes. Like, yes, maybe there is like an insane specific build, like a stat stacker that you need all your affixes or whatever. But normally, and again, I come back to the same point. If there is another build that can do exactly the same and free up a slot, that build is automatically better, right? If you have two comparable builds and one needs all the affixes to be there and the other one only needs 5, only needs 4, this build is automatically better because you derive more power from less resources. That is more efficient, it is better, it is undeniable. Like, I don't know, maybe I think about the game the other way around, because he's saying that it is the other way around, that weaker builds have more affixes. How is that possible? Weaker builds, they suck. That is why they suck. Then start using those affixes so that the build doesn't suck.
Weaker builds with less scaling options can leverage the free affixes they have for Rarity, and instead of gaining more power that would help them kill monsters faster, which they cannot even do, they can hunt for more rare loot and get some extra benefit from their gear rather than no benefit at all. Another argument was that you have to focus on random stat rather than character power. I've heard someone compare it to light radius, saying how it's lame that the game...
Okay, now we know he's not talking about me. We can chill, guys. Now we know he's not talking about me, because I specifically said in my video that Rarity is not like light radius. Now we know he's not talking about me. Because I have said before that Rarity is not like light radius. I am fine with light radius. I am cool with light radius. Why? Because it sucks. Because you don't want it, you don't need it, you don't care about light radius. It is just a random stat that is there to crowd the mod pool. Gucci, cool. In fact, this season it had, for the first time ever, it had a use. I used it for a little bit. Like what you did was use the Grand Project tablet on a tower, and you can access all the maps around you, and then you go inside the map with light radius, and you pick up as fast as possible the temple, the beacon of the temple, so you get charges for the temple fast, and you go out of the map without completing the map, and you jump to the next one, and you could get the 60 shards, the 60 beacons for the temple really fast. So light radius was kind of useful for the first time ever this season. I am cool with light radius. My problem is with Rarity, because it is a dog shit, boring stat that a lot of people feel compelled to use it, because it is objectively better to have it than not have it.
Has such things, and we only should have modifiers that give power on our gear. I hope this person never designs a game, and if they do, I will never want to play it because it will be incredibly boring. Having minority of niche modifiers that are not useful to everyone is what makes Path of Exile my favorite game. I love
exactly what you can do exactly that with many more interesting affixes than Rarity. Light radius is, of course, one example. In POE1, the thing is that also POE2 is a young game, right? But in POE1, there is a unique item that allows you to transform light radius into damage, and then it is cool, right? Things like that don't exist yet in Path of Exile 2, right? But I don't want Rarity to be transformed into damage or defenses, because Rarity sucks and it would exacerbate the problem, right? But you can have so many other affixes that are specific to one type of character that are cool and exciting, like Leech, recouping life, faster start of energy shield. These are stats that are specific to a type of character, increase the mod pool, are original, and are way more interesting than I find magic things. So you are going for a binary argument in here. The binary argument is, or you have dog shit stats like Rarity, or you don't have exciting stats. No, that is not true. You can have exciting stats without them being boring crap like Rarity. In fact, we have plenty of them in the game right now.
Finding cool interactions between weird modifiers and making it work. I love unusual things that somehow work together. It's the beauty of the game for me. Just this league, I was actually utilizing light radius to a great effect when farming my temple crystals.
Okay, he was doing what I said earlier. He was doing that because, hey, that is a cool thing.
Max roll light radius gifts from above rings, and they fit my setup so nicely. I had Calandra's touch, copying one of them, so I had 3 of them at a time, multiplied by ritualist bonuses, multiplied by the ingenuity, giving me a massive light radius, allowing me to see the league mechanic in maps from much further away without really sacrificing any power on my character. This was amazing, and I'm glad this is in the game. This is one of the things that makes PoE really fun to play. Removing interesting stats because some clueless guy thinks it's lame because he's not smart enough to utilize it would turn this.
So I think it is lame because I am not smart enough to utilize it. No, brother, I think it is lame because it is lame. Rarity is a lame, boring stat. It doesn't matter, baby. Okay, I know how to utilize Rarity. I am going to stack Rarity. Does that make it not boring? No, it is boring still. It is still boring. But if I have a stat that interacts with my character in a cool way, then it is not boring.
This game into a boring Diablo clone where everything is just dumbed down, so you might as well just remove every.
Rarity is a Diablo clone. In fact, when I complain about Rarity, people defend it, saying that Rarity was in Diablo 2, and that is why it's cool. I say, I don't give a flying fuck if it was in Diablo 2. It is lame there too, because Rarity and Magic Find are boring stats. That is my opinion, papi. That is my opinion, brother. I am enjoying the video. Asmodeus, if you ever see this, dude, I am enjoying the video. It's a cool video, and you're bringing up some cool points, but you are insulting people in here. People are not going to take it that seriously if you insult people, brother. Why is it necessary to insult people with this, brother? Maybe it is a good strategy in YouTube. He has more subscribers than me, so he knows more about this shit than me. Maybe it is a good strategy for clicks.
Just dumbed down, so you might as well just remove every stat and rename it to power, and every item is just giving one stat: power. More power, item more better. Me understand. Another similar argument I've seen.
Hey, that was funny. That was funny. Did that sound like me? Did that sound like me?
Down, so you might as well just remove every stat and rename it to power, and every item is just giving one stat: power. More power, item more better. Me understand. Another similar argument I've seen was, when you think about your gear, you should think about your character's strength and not about the economy. Excuse me, but you're in the...
Okay, I told you earlier that I agree with that point, but again, Rarity is inconsequential to that point.
Wrong neighborhood. PoE is designed around the economy. It's one of the main pillars of the game.
True, we already addressed this, and it is true. The game revolves around the economy. You are always thinking about the economy and the prices of the buys and your gear and your currency and whatever. But again, doesn't matter with Rarity. Like, you can still do all of that and Rarity doesn't exist. Again, we don't live in a binary. Like, if Rarity stops existing tomorrow, this thing about currency mattering and your gear mattering and the being in a living economy doesn't change. It is still going to continue to happen. Like, this doesn't depend on Rarity existing. So I don't know what is the argument in here.
I will let the game developers themselves counter this argument straight from the developers at pathofexile.com/game. It is designed around a strong online item economy. The game is literally designed...
And it is honestly one of the coolest things about Path of Exile, that it is a living economy. I don't disagree with this. I don't know how Rarity matters here. In fact, that is why Rarity is a problem, because it impacts the economy and you need it. Or you want to have it because it impacts the economy. And the game is a living economy. So thank you for helping our argument.
Around it. If you don't like it, play SSF or play a different game, but this argument is like complaining about too many geometrical shapes in tic-tac-toe. You are lost, son. The final argument I left for last, because if you've learned anything in this video, then you should be able to dismantle it yourself. Rarity should not affect currency. I'll give you a minute. I'll even give you some visual aid. I believe in you. Surely you can figure out why this is a terrible idea.
You are going to come back. We are going to come back to this argument with this. We are going to come back to this argument. He thinks that Rarity is not a problem in terms of currency because you are getting overall the same amount of items. But we will come back to it. It's not the same thing of getting 100 divines and getting 100 exalted. So he thinks that if you nerf Rarity, because again, I don't know why people think in binaries. If you remove Rarity, you have to still fix how the loot system works in the game because it sucks, right? And that is why people try to circumvent it with Rarity in one of the things why Rarity is so popular. So what he's going to say in here is that if the value of this goes down, the value of this goes up, meaning people are going to farm bases, right? And then the economy is going to be fucked. Well, guess what? Fix this shit too. Fix the whole fucking thing.
That's right, it would make reduced rarity farming completely OP and imbalanced. If a rarity didn't affect currency, then reduced rarity...
Exactly, brother, I knew what he was going to say.
Would be by far the best way to farm loot, because you'd be consistently making massive amounts of currency from the bases, while at the same time dropping the same amount of raw currency as everyone else. Again, this is an idea that could only be suggested by someone who is clueless about the game. I don't care if you're a streamer, if you have 10 billion hours played in PoE, if you thought that changing rarity to not affect currency drops was a good idea, you need to look in the mirror and admit that you don't know enough about the game to have good design ideas, and you would make disastrous changes to this game if anybody let you.
So we will make disastrous changes if we take the decision that they already made in POE1. Brother, this was like this in POE1. Rarity affected currency and they decided this is dog shit, let's take it away. So you are saying that GG doesn't have any idea about designing a game because they did that, exactly that in POE1. What the fuck, man? You know why bases would be a problem if negative rarity existed, but in that world, negative rarity would have to stop existing. We will need to modify that, and you know how? Simple thing that people have been asking for. Simple things that people have been asking for. This little thing right here, Orb of Scouting, is what prevents people in POE1 to negative rarity farm whatever dog shit bases it is. Because you only do it once and you can scour and scour and scour the same base and you fix the problem right there. That is why I am saying you don't think in binaries. You are thinking in the binary of, well, if I only apply to currency, then people are just going to rarity farm, to base farm, right? Well, if I introduce something else to fix the problem, like the Orb of Scouting, or just fixing the fucking crafting system that sucks dick, then farming bases is no longer the thing, right? It's no longer the thing. You balance the system. That is why you don't think in binaries. You think, how do I fix the problem?
The current Rarity system promotes diverse farming methods, something that POE2 really needs. Compared to POE1,
POE1 has a lot of farming methods, and in POE1, Rarity doesn't apply to currency. Again, false binary,
which has a plethora of ways to specialize and farm specific content, POE2 is still in the early development when it comes to those endgame activities. The ability to choose whether you play with negative rarity, positive rarity, no rarity but playing in a group with a rarity bot, or no rarity but playing
Look at all your suggestions in use rarity in some way. You are just manipulating rarity in different ways. That is what I don't want. Why do I have to even think about this boring stat affix? No. I don't want to even think about this dog shit. I don't think about it in POE1, and there are many more farming methods that could ever be in POE2 at this point. You farm so many different things in POE1 and you don't even think about rarity, man. It is a fallacy that to be able to have diverse ways of farming, you need rarity. No, you can have diverse ways of farming without rarity. And we already have it in POE1.
Solo doing harder content like the hardest abyss stacking, which most solo players cannot even do. It's a very healthy thing for the game, and it promotes an ecosystem in which various builds and players can thrive.
That can happen without rarity too. You can have a healthy ecosystem where different builds and farming strategies can thrive without rarity. Rarity is not necessary for that. In fact, I argue that rarity fucks with that.
As long as there are no scouring orbs in the game, which is a very important part of this system.
Hey, he mentioned it. You can fix it with the Orb of Scouting. I said that.
As long as there is challenging, difficult content that players can try to do, this system works very well. It doesn't take away anything from the casuals because they can still make good currency.
You don't need rarity if you will negative rarity.
Regardless of where on the rarity curve they are. Many top players, and when I say top players, I mean players that can farm multiple mirrors in a league, many of them played this league with no rarity and had great success selling.
I started the video saying that I play zero rarity and I have great success. It is true that you don't need it, but it is better if you have it. It is undeniably better, and that is a problem, man. That is a problem. Just because you don't need it doesn't mean it is not dog shit. It is a boring stat, brother.
Wide bases and getting good amount of currency by running high level content properly. Rarity is completely optional and it simply allows you to specialize. For some type of content, lower rarity is better. For other type of content, higher rarity is better. And for some type of content that is very challenging, maximizing your character power and doing it faster is better.
That is a problem. There are builds that can maximize power in the character and have rarity, and that automatically makes them better.
Being able to stack Rarity is never the reason why someone is poor in this game, as evident by the top 1% or top 0.1% of the richest players that don't stack Rarity. And I hope...
because the 0.1% doesn't stack Rarity, you, the poor motherfucker that only plays the game 2 hours a week, don't need Rarity, brother. So instead of getting 100 divines, get 100 exalted, because the 0.1 don't need it. Because they play 18 hours a day and have the fucking snake temple that never fucking finishes. And dude, you can do that, man. You can do that, brother. Guys, you could buy your freedom if you weren't so stupid.
At least some of you will now stop repeating the false claims without examining them and thinking critically, because you might end up pressuring GGG to make the game worse, just like many other...
No, don't listen to this. Don't listen to him. Remove Rarity. It sucks. Trust me, it is a boring stat. Trust me that Rarity is a boring stat. Make the game fun, brother. Make the game fun. Rarity is not fun. Put crazy shit in the affixes. Crazy... Make us do crazy shit. Rarity is boring. Trust me. By the way, you lied to me. You lied to me in the title. You said to me, this video will change your mind. You didn't change my mind a little bit. In fact, you entrenched me more into hating Rarity. Because some of your arguments help my argument instead of your argument. Like the 4-1, economy is a core part. Yes, and Rarity fucks with it. That is why I hate Rarity. So thank you for helping my argument. In fact, now I hate it more.
Game communities have done before. This happened, for example, in the early World of Warcraft, where the community pressured Blizzard to make changes that made the game worse and made players quit for a long time. And GGG are...
Removing Rarity is not going to make anyone quit, brother. This is, again, a false dichotomy, a false double binary, I don't know. Removing Rarity is not going to make anyone quit. The opposite, the opposite. It will make a lot of people happy.
Actually a little bit too open to feedback in many cases and tend to overvalue the opinions of players that are simply wrong. I hope this gives you something to think about, and I'll see you guys.
Brother, I will tell you something, papi. I really like this video, Asmodeus. I have to think it is said Asmodeus. If I am butchering your name, I am sorry. I will tell you something. I love this video. This is an awesome, great video, and it made me talk out a lot about Rarity, which I love. I love ranting about Rarity. It is one of my favorite things to do in the world. I love it. So thank you so much for this video, dude. It is honestly a cool video. It is honestly, like, being totally objective, it is a cool video. But brother, you are insulting people here left and right. Like, you are trying to change the mind of people that hate Rarity to liking Rarity, but then when they click on the video and they say, okay, the dude is going to convince me, the very first you say to them is, if you don't like Rarity, you are ignorant and clueless about the game. Brother, they are going to be in the defensive right there. Why are you calling me ignorant and clueless? You know, like, chill a little bit, papi. We are in here playing the game, having fun, you know. Just my opinion, though. Just my opinion. Maybe he knows more about this stuff than me. Maybe he knows more about this stuff than me. But hey, thank you for the video. You didn't change my mind at all. I still think that Rarity sucks. I don't think that you reviewed appropriately the 5 points that you yourself set out to rebuke. I still think that Rarity should or not affect currency. And if you think it is going to turn into people farming bases, then add the Orb of Scour, or just rework the whole loot system, or just remove Rarity. Better yet, remove it from gear. You can still put it in waystones and tablets and whatever the fuck you want, but you remove it from gear because it is a boring stat on gear. My opinion, of course, I am always open to being wrong and to change my mind in the future if stronger arguments are presented to me. But thank you, Asmodeus, for this video, dude. Pretty cool, man. So that was the one that pissed me off a little bit towards the end, where he said that if you think that Rarity should only apply to currency, then you are a bad game designer. So he said that you are bad game designers because they did exactly that in POE1. Also, just to name a big content creator that thinks almost exactly the same that I think about Rarity, Gassy. I always watch Gassy's videos complaining about Rarity because he thinks similar to me regarding Rarity. He also hates Rarity. So I love Gassy's video when he's complaining about Rarity. So he's also basically here throwing grenades towards, and I wouldn't call Gassy a clueless guy about the game by any means, or ignorant about how the game works. I wouldn't say that about Gassy at all. Let's see what people are saying. Bro came out guns blazing. True, brother came out like, I don't care. Pling, 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 pling. He came out like this, the me. This was the brother at the start of the video. He started the video like this. So anyway, I started blasting. Brother started the video like this. He doesn't care, brother. Kinda satirical comment about your last video. Rarity is not a problem. Just fun with negative Rarity. Chose the same bill investment in reverse Rarity. Rarity doesn't matter. Also, I made multiple mirrors by manipulating item Rarity. Okay, I am not crazy. People are saying it in the video. People are saying it in the comments. Okay, nice, cool. This dude is correct. Dark Noob over here. I am not going to read the whole thing, but Dark Noob over here is base as fuck. Also, something worth mentioning. The point is removing Rarity from gear, not removing Rarity from the game. Hey, Darknoot89, I am going to give you a thumbs up because you are base as fuck, my man. The core frustration is that the Rarity tax is not applied equally across archetypes. True, by your own logic, attribute the stackers are at a distinct disadvantage because they lack the agency to manipulate drops in either direction. The unique vectors of scaling that they get are useless because there's nothing to clash against that requires such scaling. Base as fuck, Dark Noob is a better dismantler of arguments than me. Whatever I said in the video is dog shit compared to Dark Noob 89 over here. This dude knows what the fuck he's talking about. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a clown? Am I a genius? Let me know everything in the comments below. I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. God bless you. And remember, don't be afraid ever because this is just a ride.